Okay, so picking up right where we left off, I just did two quick things in between videos. I imported these two images and I renamed the Reap script to Tools. So the way you rename a script is just click on it, click on the name, it lets you rename it there, and then the next time you open up the script, just make sure that where it says public class, that this name exactly matches the name of the script. So, that was the two things I did in between videos. Now what we're going to do in this video is we're going to add the bucket object to the UI so you can water the plants, and we're going to add a cursor, that way when you click on an object it highlights, because right now there's really no feedback to the user that they've successfully clicked on the object. So let's go ahead and put the bucket into the scene. And as you can see, I made a mistake when it came to image design. The bucket is a little bit bigger than the other one, so it behooves you that if you're making your UI objects to use a standardized not file size, but image size. It's not the end of the world if you make a mistake. You can tweak it in Unity, but it's best to use a uniform size to begin with. So let's just go ahead and shrink that vertically to 0.82. That looks about right. It was just really trial and error to get it the right size. Now it needs to be ordered in layer 5 like the other objects. It needs to have a physics 2D box collider like the other objects, and to be set to a trigger. And now we drag and drop the tools script onto it. So that really catches us up to speed, except we still need to put the click function onto that. Second thing that we want to do is we want to take the cursor, drag and drop that into the scene, move it out of the camera view to begin with, and put it in layer 6 because we want it to be above everything else. We want it to be even on top of the UI objects. So go into the now renamed Tools script, and we're going to create public transform, need to be a capital T, and this will be cursor obj, and we'll save that. And what we do is if you click on the three objects, you see they now have that variable because the script is attached to all three. So highlight all three, drag and drop cursor onto the cursor variable, and now it's been added to all three. Now what we want to do is we want to have that cursor be moved to the location of whatever is being clicked on. So cursor obj dot transform dot position is equal to transform dot position. Sounds redundant, but it's not. What this is saying is take the position of the cursor object and set it to the position of whatever this is attached to. This script is attached to. So transform.position refers to the position of whatever the script is attached to. But on this side of the equal side, you see that we put cursor object.transform.position. So we prefaced transform.position with the name of the variable. So it's saying take the position of this and set it to the position of whatever this script is attached to. So let's go ahead and save that. That should be all it takes to make this work. And there we go. So that easy, you've now added a cursor. Now what we want is we want the bucket to actually work like the other objects. So what we're going to do is, in this case, we're not going to change the image of the weed object, because so far it has the default weed image, it has the blank image, it can be set to the sprout and the sunflower. Okay, so we don't want to change that. What we want to do is we want to change the plot of land behind it. So what we want to do is we need to make the individual plants be aware of the corresponding plots. Okay, so the way we do that is we go into the plant control, which is attached to the individual weeds. Okay, and what we need to do is we need to create a new transform variable. Just as we made the UI tools be aware of the cursor, we need the weeds to be aware of the plots. So public transform, and we'll call it plot obj. Now, unlike what we did with the tools, and we used the same cursor object, in this case we want each plant to be aware of a different corresponding plot. So weed 1 is well, it's just weed, but the first weed is associated with the first plot, second weed is associated with the second plot, third weed is associated with the third plot. So that's what we're doing. We're going to create that actual awareness now. So for weed 1, drag and drop plot 1. For weed 2, drag and drop plot 2. And for weed 3, drag and drop plot 3. What this does is it lets the weed now make changes. It's aware of the individual plot, so it can make changes to it. And while we're doing this, let's go ahead and rename this. We said we're going to, so let's actually make this plant 1, plant 2, and plant 3. Okay, so now it makes a little bit more sense as far as the naming convention, where they're not just weeds, they're plants, and the numbering matches the numbering of the corresponding plots. Okay, so we added a script to the individual plants that now align it with the corresponding plots. So what we want to do is for the tools, right now, if you click on a certain object, a certain function occurs for the scythe and for the seeds. So now that means we need to add one for the bucket. So in the tools script, in the on mouse down section, if GameObject.name equals bucket, then current tool should be equal to bucket. We'll save that. Now, when we click on the plant, we don't want the plant itself to change, but we want the corresponding plot of land that the plant is associated with to change. So again, we're going to make a change using the preface of an object. So just like we looked at a minute ago, where we changed the position of the cursor. So right here we took cursor.transform.position. Going to do something similar, but it's not the position we're going to change. So in the plant control script, okay, so this is where you're clicking on the plant. So in the tool script, we have now changed the current tool variable to bucket. So in plant control is now where we determine what we do when it's when that variable is set to a certain value. So the new value is bucket. So if current tool is equal to bucket, then what we're going to do is the name of the variable we added is plot object. So plot object dot get component sprite renderer. In this case, we're going to change the color equals new color. Now, when you're using this, it ranges from 0 to 1, so basically it's a percentage. So we're going to take out all the red, we're going to take out all the green, but we want 100% of the blue because it's water. So what we're doing is we're shading the plot of land blue. I believe that should be all we need to do. So we click on this. We click on the bucket. Actually, it will make it blue now, but let's get rid of the weeds first. So we'll cut the weeds, click on the bucket, and there we go. They turn blue. Just to confirm, if we'd clicked on the bucket first, suppose you could water the weeds if you really want to. So it's your decision if you want to, just as we put in an extra condition here, you could put in an extra condition here that prevents you from watering weeds. Totally your decision as far as whether it should affect game balance or not. Now, let's actually run that one more time. So we'll cut the weeds, we'll plant the seeds, and then you can water it. So the water right now is just changing color. It's not actually functionally making any kind of change to the growth rate of the plants. So the next step would then be to track the fact that you've watered the plant. So that would go into, let's get rid of some of the remark statements since we don't need them. So right now this is what makes the plant grow, and that is if the image of the plant object, okay, over here, if the image of the plant is sunflower 1, then you begin incrementing grow time. When grow time has exceeded a certain amount, in this case 3, we now change it to sunflower. So what you can do is you can check to see if water has been applied or not. So what we can do there is we'd have to check to see, we'd have to create a variable to check that. So public string watered, and we'll set it to no, to default. So since that's part of plant control, each plant now has its own watered variable. So what we're going to do here is when 3 seconds has exceeded, if watered equals yes, which we have not put that in yet, then go ahead and change the flower. If 3 seconds has expired and you have not watered it yet, else grow time gets set back to 0, and we set, you can set this either back to a blank image like the no plant, or if you want you can set it back to the weed. We actually haven't added a variable for the weed, so even though it's the default image, we'd have to add that in as a selectable variable, so we'll have to catch up and do that. So for now we'll just do no plant object. So what we've done is we've added this, okay, and it's just saying is this variable yes or no, y or n. If it has not been set to yes when grow time exceeds 3 seconds, then so this is if it has been set, else, change it back to no plant. So we'll we'll cut it down, we'll plant, and see how it disappeared. It withered because it did not get watered. So now we just have to add the water function, and that is, we can do that right here, because right now, so again, plant control is attached to the plants, not the land, not the plots. Okay, this is saying if the bucket is the current tool, and you click on the plant, change the corresponding plot to blue. Well, right in here, we'll just change the variable watered to Y. So we'll cut these down, and what we'll do is we won't water all of them. So we'll plant, and we'll just water the middle one. There we go. The two that were not watered died. The one that was watered became a plant. If you want, you could do an extra change that once this becomes a plant, this goes back to normal color.